Welcome back to another video. This is the story of a chicken named Mike who literally lost his head. Mike, the headless chicken, was a male chicken that lived for 18 months after his head was literally cut off. Mike gained instant fame after losing his head until his eventual passing away in March 1947. Even up to this day, in Fruita, Colorado, the people in the town celebrate a Mike the Headless Chicken Day, which is held every year in May. Almost 80 years ago on a sunny day on the 10th of September 1945, a farmer named Lloyd Olson of Fruita, Colorado, was planning on eating supper with his beloved mother-in-law and his wife. His wife sent him out into the yard to bring back a chicken for the supper. Lloyd, after standing there for a while and looking at the chickens walking around, finally chose a 5.5-month-old Wyandotte chicken they had nicknamed Mike. The farmer used his axe to remove the majority of Mike's head, but however totally missing the chicken's jugular vein, leaving most of the brainstem intact and one of his ears. Lloyd the farmer had failed to properly behead Mike the chicken. Because of this, the chicken still had the ability to balance on a perch and walk around clumsily in the yard. Mike was still acting like a chicken despite being practically headless. He tried to preen his feathers despite having no beak, peck for food, and even trying to crow with limited success. Think of it for a minute. A chicken with no head trying to do all of these things. Scary, ain't it? Well, when the farmer saw that Mike didn't die, he instead decided to try caring for his headless and ghostly appearing feathered friend. He mustered up some courage to feed it with a mixture of water and cow's milk by way of an eye drop, and also giving it worms and small grains of corn. People started hearing about a headless chicken that was still pouncing about, and Mike and his farmer buddy were now getting famous. They both began a career of touring as side shows in the company of such other anomalies as a two-headed baby. Mike was photographed countless times and for dozens of newspapers and magazines. Mike the Headless Anomaly was featured in magazines such as Life magazine and Time magazine. The public could view Mike up close and personal for a cost of 25 cents per person. At the peak of his fame and popularity, Mike's owner was earning a handsome $4,500 per month back in those days, which in today's equivalence, it's roughly about 54,000 US dollars monthly. But hold on a minute. Why was this headless chicken still even alive? Well, let's try getting a bit scientific here. When it came on to why Mike was still alive despite being headless, the axe that the farmer used had totally missed the chicken's jugular vein, and a blood clot had formed that had actually prevented Mike from bleeding out to death. Even though most of Mike's head was missing, most of his brainstem and one of his ears were left back intact on his body. A chicken's basic functions such as breathing, heart functions, and motor control are controlled by their brainstem. He was technically still alive and could function as a basic chicken. Additionally, birds have a secondary balance organ in their pelvic areas, which is called the lumbosacral organ. This lumbosacral organ controls their walking motions independently from their vestibular organ which is involved in their flight. This is the best explanation as to how Mike the Headless Chicken is still able to balance and walk around, despite the removal of the majority of his cranial vestibular system. At a motel in Phoenix, Arizona in March 1947, Mike the Headless Wonderful eventually passed away. It's been reported by his owner that Mike started to choke in the middle of the night. Mike had gotten a kernel of corn stuck in his throat. The farmer and his family had forgotten their feeding and cleaning syringes at the sideshow the day before, and they were there unable to save Mike's life. Mike the Headless Chicken is now a cultural institution in Fruita, Colorado, where they hold an annual Mike the Headless Chicken Day in the third week of every May. This event has been going on since the year 1999. Events held in Mike's memory include the 5K Run Like a Headless Chicken race, egg toss, pin the head on the chicken clock off, and the chicken bingo, in which chicken drop-ins on a numbered grid choose the numbers. So that was the real story of Mike the Headless Chicken.